snowy Friday morning, everyone. We are delighted that you slid on in and that you're here with us today for what I know will be another wonderful, insightful program. Mike Wilcox is someone I have known for quite a while, and he has done an amazing job with everything he touches. He's truly one of the hardest working people I know, and he will share some wonderful insights with us today on the intersection of athletics, business, and leadership. And Dr. Fell, our president, will be introducing him in a moment. But before then, I want to ask all of you to join me in thanking our sponsor of the series, First Federal Bank. We have several First Federal representatives here with us today, so thank you very much. And to encourage you that on your way out, if you haven't already registered for the next Fridays at Findlay, it will be on March 23rd, and it will be Dr. Carla Hayden, who serves as the Librarian of Congress, the world's largest library, and she is going to come to Findlay and join us here and speak on a topic of literacy before going over and reading to some children at the Mazza Museum. And so we're very excited to have Dr. Hayden, and certainly hope you will join us for that and tell your friends as well. April 27th, we can't tell you the speaker yet, but we can tell you the topic, and it has to do with animal care and its changing nature in today's society. And of course, here at Findlay, as you know, we take animal care very, very seriously. And I'm just curious, how many of you have a dog, cat, hamster, some other animal at home? A horse, perhaps? All right. Well, everyone who raised their hand, or if you've ever even petted a dog or cat, or ridden a horse, you will want to come. So April 27th. I also wanted to let you know we have just launched our Alumni and Friends Book Club. This is something new we are doing. It is online as part of our effort for continuing education and lifelong learning. So the first book is well underway, but we will be starting a new book in late March, so stay tuned, look at our website, or stay tuned to your emails and join our Alumni and Friend Book Club. And looking very forward, we were thrilled. We have almost 100 people registered for the first one, and they are really enjoying it. At this time, I am going to ask Tevin Evans to come and give the blessing for our food. Tevin is an occupational therapy major, and he is from Martin, Tennessee. So Tevin.
Would you bow with me, please? Dear Heavenly Father, just thank you for another day full of opportunity. Thank you for just being high above all, but yet within reach. So holy, but yet so approachable. Lord, we thank you for your love that is fixed toward us. Thank you for providing food and just every need that we have this day. And Lord God, I just pray that we receive the wisdom and insight that you have for us. And just as the sun rises to light the day, Lord, I pray that we leave this place with our hearts and minds enlightened with more wisdom and knowledge that we can apply in every area of our life. I ask all these things in Jesus' name, amen.
Welcome to Fridays at Findlay. This is beginning to compete with some of our athletic events as the best entertainment in town, so stay tuned for more. And this morning is a particularly exciting day for us. It's my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, the founder, chairman, and CEO of Wilcox Financial and Wilcox Sports Management, Mike Wilcox from Toledo. Mike came from upstate New York to Bowling Green State University on a hockey and lacrosse scholarship and was a 2-time captain and 3-time All-American on Bowling Green's nationally ranked lacrosse team. He served as Interfraternity Council President and as student trustee, founded the Student Recreation Center during his time on campus. In 1998, Governor Bob Taft appointed Mike to BGSU's Board of Trustees, where he served as a trustee for 10 years. In 2009, Mike was honored by BGSU by being selected to the Dallas Hamilton Entrepreneurial Hall of Fame, just one of 7 business and athletic Hall of Fames that he has been inducted into. In 2010, Mike was honored as one of the top 100 alumni in the university's 100-year history, and in 2013 received Bowling Green's Distinguished Alumni Award. Mike has served on many boards over the years, including chairing Bowling Green's Board of Trustees, serving as chair of the U.S. Lacrosse Foundation, the Culver Academy's Prep School, the Lou Holtz Hall of Fame, and Mike is also a trustee of the Fiesta Bowl and obviously believes in giving back. In 1982, Mike founded Wilcox Financial, a company that now serves over 2,500 family businesses, corporate executives, and high net worth individuals in 39 states and 12 countries by providing them high-grade financial advice. In 2000, Mike reinvented himself and formed Wilcox Sports Management, a branch of the firm that now represents over 350 football and basketball coaches, athletic directors, university presidents, conference commissioners, and broadcasters throughout the country in all areas of finance, compensation, tax, investment, contract negotiation, and financial advising. We are delighted to have Mike with us today to share his thoughts on lessons learned from the intersection of athletics, leadership, and business. Please welcome Mike Wilcox.
Thank you. Thank you, President Fell, and good morning. I was delighted to leave San Francisco yesterday at 76 degrees and beautiful snow, and come back to the Midwest. But seriously, it's great to be with you and to be in Findlay. You've done a remarkable job, President and Marcia, with this institution, and I'm a big fan of yours, and many people are. When I got up this morning, my wife says, "Well, where are you going today?" And I said, "I'm going to Findlay." "Findlay? What are you doing in Findlay?" I said, "Well, Marcia Latta asked if I would come speak to their Fridays at Findlay." So my wife adroitly said, "What is she paying you?" And I said, "She's paying me nothing." She says, "What are you going to give him?" I said, "Probably the nothing talk." So you get what you pay for. But my mother often said, if you're fortunate enough to get in front of a group, you got to remember 3 things about public speaking. She said, be brief, be brilliant, and be gone, most of all. And I can promise you 2 of those things today, so you'll have to guess which one. But fun to be with you. Great to see my dear friend and longtime friend, Dr. Frank Cosiano, and Coach Keys. We've been good friends for a long time. Congrats on your great year. And Coach Charlie, you got it going, so keep it going. That's great. Good to see the programs going so well. And of course, Marcia and I, we go way back. A lot of wars. We're undefeated together. But it was an interesting 10 years for me on the Board of Trustees at Bowling Green, and trying to provide leadership and some value to the university, the students, and so that's really the topic today. When Marcia asked me to come, and she made up the title, so if you don't like the title, talk to Marcia about it. But really share with you some lessons learned, pardon me, along the way, the intersection between athletics, leadership, and business. And I hope maybe that some of you students here today, thank you for getting up. I'm not sure I would have got up to come hear me this morning, but I hope that some of you students maybe can take my experiences and really develop some shortcuts to your success, be a little smarter than I was, learning the hard way in many ways. But hopefully life's a long time, and life can be very satisfying if you work hard at it, if you're strategic about it, and you really get up every day and mean it. So as President Fell said, I grew up in the East. I came to the Midwest. I originally thought I'd go to Cornell, stay home in Ithaca, and that didn't work out. And I thought maybe my life had changed forever for the worse, not the better. And as they say, when one door or one window or a door closes, another one opens. And Bowling Green was the one that opened for me. Did a lot of things in leadership at Bowling Green. One of the things that's not on the resume and probably was the most interesting, but I served as the president's bartender. So that was an interesting, some interesting engagements, but that helped me get through school, and I'm a first-generation college student, and the bartending for the president ultimately led to the Student Recreation Center, which I'm forever proud of, and has been a great thing for the students at Bowling Green. So I was fortunate enough, and I was in a very good job environment when I got out of, when I graduated and got out. It was a very good environment. I had over 20 offers, corporate finance, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 type companies, and was very blessed to do that. I turned all of those offers down, went to work for one of the trustees at Bowling Green and kind of a boutique financial firm in Toledo, and turned all those guarantees of money and benefits and things that I was always hoping to get and things to achieve to go to work for this small firm in Toledo. That looked like it had a great upside, great promise. And when I moved to Toledo, I had 4 problems. Number 1, I'd never been there before. Number 2, I didn't know anybody there. Number 3, I didn't know anything. And number 4, I didn't have any money. Other than that, it was easy, okay? And so my kids say 40 years later, so Dad, what's changed? Nothing's changed at all, So, but I was so successful when I arrived in Toledo my first year that the first thing I had to do was delay my wedding for 3 years, and because it was just a tough way to go back in those days, and I think I quit 99 times, and I got up off the mat 100 times, and I think that's a real issue in education today that we see. I'm a trustee of the Culver Academies. We send some of our kids here, and they love it here. But what we find is watching parents today that parents really have a hard time letting their children fail. And you can't be successful until you fail a few times. So long story short, I delayed the wedding. I finally got married, and as Coach Holtz, Lou Holtz, my dear friend and client, always says, behind every successful entrepreneur is a very surprised mother-in-law, okay? Mine wasn't surprised, she was flabbergasted, okay? But Jan and I were married, it'll be 40 years this year, and hopefully 40 good ones and 40 more maybe. So the moral of the story there, all of you younger people, is that pick the right partner, okay? And I definitely outkicked my coverage in that department, and you can't do it alone. You've got to have a great partner all the way along to do it. So I got into Toledo, and I went through this with this firm and kind of survived, and I was fortunate enough, and 5 years later, to reach out. We had no children at that point, and start our own firm. And we struggled, and we failed, and we got up off the mat, back and forth again, and that was in 1982. And then in 2000, we formed Wilcox Sports Management. And people always, the big question, how do you get in the sports business? And around 2000, we went into a football coaching search. I'm on the board, know a little bit about that, athletics. So the president and the athletic director said, we want you to be on the committee. And so my dear friend and client, Lou Holtz, calls. And Coach Holtz, if some of you have heard him speak, he can be rather persuasive, I would say. And so he calls and says, and he just kind of talks with a list. He says, I got your next football coach. And I said, well, Coach, is he an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator? Coach Keys knows you've got to have guys that know something. And he says, well, he's neither. And I said, well, Coach, this is Bowling Green, I mean, we've got a great program. We can't have someone without experience. He says, I'm telling you, I got your next football coach. Go see him. And I said, ooh. I said, well, where's he at? And he says, well, he's at Notre Dame. And I said, what's his name? And he says, his name's Urban Meyer. I said, Coach, that sounds like a pope or something. You know? So went to see Urban Meyer, blew us all away, offered him the job. And he said, I got to talk to my wife, Shelley, I'll call you tomorrow. So he went back. He did talk to his wife, Shelley. I'm convinced he did, but he called Coach Holtz back, and he says, Coach, I just got offered the Bowling Green job. And Coach says, well, that's great. You know, I had it all wired with Mike Wilcox and Bob Sebo and John Harbaugh. That's great. Congratulations. And Urban said, well, Coach, I don't think I'm going to take the job. And Lou went flatline for about, and that's not a comfortable feeling with Lou, going flatline. He says, what do you mean you're not going to take the job? And Urban said, well, I don't think it's a very good job. And now Lou goes flatline again, and Urban, he's on the other end, just my mentor, Coach Holtz, you know, is he going to talk to me again? And Coach, after about 30 seconds of silence, said, Urban, if it was a good job, why in the hell do you think they'd be calling you? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Coach Urban Meyer. So that's been going around for 17 or 18 years now between Coach Meyer, who turned out to be a pretty good hire. And I know he's spoken at Findlay here several times. And so that was the start of it. And Urban came to Bowling Green. He turned it around. He and I got to become very good friends. And you know, after 90 days, Urban says, well, what in the heck do you do? And I said, well, Urban, we do everything that you need but probably don't have. And he said, well, like what? And then I got into it. And so he got going, turned Bowling Green around, and then he went to Utah, pardon me. He went to Utah, helped him go to Utah, stayed there for 2 years. The Utah president went to Florida, went to Florida, and he was a very smart president. He got on top of Urban quick, hired him at Florida, won his first national championship. The phone starts ringing because of my relationship with Urban. And Urban said, you know, you could make a business out of this. I said, really? And so the rest is history. So you never know how things go. You never know the twists in your life. You never know the people you meet and that can really influence you. And it's been a great ride. I think the most satisfying thing in my line of work is we're really adding value to people's lives, whether it's a coach, whether it's a businessman, whether it's a physician, whether it's whatever. You're adding value because of our knowledge, what we do and how we do it. And we try to make a difference every day that we get up. So it's been just a ride for us, and the lessons learned have been amazing. So I'd like to share some of those with you. We'll move through them kind of quick, and hopefully leave a little time for Q&A, and go from there. So the first one, to whom much is given, much is expected, and this is really true. I think the more you give, the more you get, and it's all about what you do, giving to people. No matter whether you're a doc or a coach or whatever, but the expectations are high in life, and that's something that I think is important to know and understand. The point that attitude, not aptitude, determines altitude. I always say, and I know Dr. Coziano would agree, there are a lot of people smarter than me, a lot of people smarter, but no one ever outworked me. And you know, I call it a talent deficiency that I had to outwork the other person to get there. So it depends how high you want to fly, and you can do it with hard work and some smarts. Vince Lombardi said that truly leaders aren't born, they're made, and they're made over time. And leadership is really something that I aspire to. I talk about it a lot, especially with kids, our kids at Culver. Culver is the premier leadership academy in the world. And the kids that we are turning out to come to institutions like yours and others, 100% college admissions placement. But it's all about leadership, ethics, and value. And I can't say it too much. And I think leadership will really determine, to those of you, starting to launch here today, whether you'll just survive in life or you'll really thrive. If you work hard and lead from the front, not the back, you'll make a difference in a lot of people's lives, your community, your school, and the country. I think you got to have some fun along the way. And I always say, if you're happy, tell your face. Okay, your face doesn't lie. And you can't be a grouch all day, and no one really wants to hear about your problems. And that's really what I am. I'm a problem solver every day. And it might be a financial issue, it might be a coaching issue, it might be a job issue, or it might be someone's child with an issue. But that's what we do, and we try to have some fun with it. And if you can't have fun with it, what are you doing it for anyhow? I've always said, especially in an academic institution, there's a difference between plagiarism and research. A difference between plagiarism and research. Plagiarism is stealing an idea from a person, and that's illegal. That's not good, right? But research is stealing a lot of ideas from a lot of different people, and that's legitimate, okay? And I really think, my counsel to younger people out there is to just be a sponge. These are the 4 greatest years of your lives, and for some longer, but they're at least 4 great years, and really get ideas from different people, pick people's brain, ask people for help. If you ask people for help, they're not going to turn you down. So I just think, do all the research you can while you're here. Objectives and goals, you've got to set those. And I always say the definition of an objective is a dream with a deadline. It's a dream with a deadline. There's a lot of dreamers out there, okay, and a lot of people with good thoughts, and a lot of people that are very smart, but they never get anything done. They never set a deadline. And the best deadlines are self-imposed deadlines, because those deadlines go around self-respect, and if you say you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, then do it. And those are real short discussions in our organization, because the expectation is excellence, and do your best to provide the client with the best knowledge, ideas, and products, and an on-time delivery. And so keep those deadlines for yourself. Coach Holtz always says, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. There's no staying the same, folks. You can't stay the same. Every day you're getting better, right, Coach? You're getting better, or you're getting worse. Every day you're lifting 5 more pounds, or if you're staying the same, you're going the wrong way. So I just think people have to face that. There's no middle road here. The road to excellence, as I say, is always under construction, and you got to get better every day. Coach Holtz, and I've got a lot of them, he's just an incredible person. He always says the 2 most important days of your life, the day you're born, and then the day you finally realize why you were born, why you were put on this globe, to serve others, not yourself. At Culver, we call it servant leadership. And I think that's exciting when you finally get why you ended up here and what you can do with you and your brain and your horsepower and enthusiasm. Dabo Swinney, one of my very favorite people, client of mine, friend of mine. I've been with him a long time. I've entrusted my nephew, 18-year-old nephew, who's 6'7", 235. I call him the Beast. Okay, he had 28 offers as a junior in high school, and he picked Clemson, and I couldn't be prouder of him. But Dabo was an assistant coach. He lived in a car with his mother in college at Alabama. He was a walk-on wide receiver at Alabama, and he got through and he started coaching. And when they fired the head coach at Clemson years ago, he got a 7-game audition, and he got it. And look what Dabo Swinney, look what Clemson has done. And people always say, who's your favorite coach? I said, the ones that pay me, okay? I like those guys, okay? But I can't tell you who my favorite coach is, but I tell you, I love Dabo Swinney because I think he stands for everything that's good in learning and athletics, and he just happens to be, he's a teacher. There's so many coaches that are teachers. He just happens to teach football, but he's done pretty good along the way. Coach Holtz, I learned from him early on. You know, he said, ask yourself 3 questions. And the customer is going to ask, the player is going to ask when you're recruiting, the patient's going to ask, the student's going to ask 3 questions. Can I trust you? Are you committed to excellence? And do you care about me? Do you care about me? One thing about Dabo, all his players, whether it's the 3-time All-American or the walk-on, okay, those kids know Dabo cares about all of them. And that's tough to have 115 kids on a team and really act like you care. But I think it's just so important. The old saying, people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. And as I said earlier, you can't succeed till you fail. And, you know, coming to Toledo, strange town, not knowing anyone, no parental backup, no room for failure. I lived in Toledo on a screened-in porch for the first 75 days. Fortunately, it wasn't January. It was June, until I could scrape up enough money to get an apartment. And but I had a plan, and I had an apartment with someone, and I was working on Saturdays, okay? And these guys were drinking beer and going to football games on Saturdays. And, you know, I rented a room out of a 2-bedroom apartment with this guy. And in the morning I'd leave and I'd shut the door because I didn't have a bureau. I didn't have a bed. I had a chaise lounge mattress. I had some sheets over the window. I had a sport coat or 2. And when I'd come back, they would have been there drinking beer, watching football, and the door was open. And I know what the laughs were about then. The laughs were about, see the successful financial guys, look at his bedroom, doesn't have anything. And those laughs, which they thought were funny, really weren't funny. But they really motivated me to do what I did and to get better every day and to succeed and to move forward. And it's life's a long race, I hope, okay? But you got to have a plan. You know, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. So I guess one of the things I would leave you with, what's your plan when you walk out of here? What's your plan for the day? What's your plan for the month? What's your plan for the semester? What's your plan for graduating? What's your plan? What's the game plan? Everybody has to have a plan, a vision. And, you know, the thing that I've seen for years that is really hard to correct or advise people on, you can't create the future by clinging to the past. Will you leave your comfort zone? How will you do it? What will you give up? As I tell my guys, are you willing, as you're climbing the ladder, to take the hatchet out of your pocket and reach below you and whack the 2 or 3 rungs that you just climbed up with no parachute, okay, with no safety valve, with no, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to really take the risk? Not just put your foot in the water, but to take the risk. You know, Steve Jobs, what an incredible guy. What a just absolute changed the world, you know. So he always said when you want something new, you need to stop some of the old. So what are you willing to stop? What are the habits you should be stopping to take the next step, to win the next game, to take care of the next patient? And what are you willing to do? As President Bell said, you know, we reinvented. We reinvented by a new business in 2000, but frankly, we've reinvented about every 5 years in business. We've reinvented ourselves. We've reinvented new markets, people to help. And so about every 5 years, I get itchy. And 5 to 7 years, we retool, we reinvest, okay? You got to invest in you, whether it's your education, or whether it's people, or whether it's office space, or whether it's proprietary ideas. But, you know, really, really important to have sustained success. You've got to be able to pivot. You've got to be able to pivot Okay, aircraft carriers can't pivot, so don't grow into an aircraft carrier. Be a PT boat, be able to move quickly. And markets change, you can change with them. Situation change, you can do that also. Learned a long time ago, for those of you that out there that are gonna be selling products or people, the convincing message. Keep it simple, make it hurt, and tell it often. By make it hurt, I don't mean make it hurt, but I mean make it, diligent, sustained enough that people get the message, and they will take the hint, do what you think they should do for them. And then above all, quality, okay? We talk about quality control, whether it's patient care or client care or whatever. But, if you settle for 99% quality, what do you get? 22,000 checks deducted from the wrong account, 2 unsafe landings at O'Hare Airport. Coach Holtz was over in Afghanistan with Urban a couple years ago, and he's over there, and they got the flak jackets on and the helmets and the Kevlar and everything. And Beth, Coach's wife, said, "Well, honey, were you scared on your trip to Afghanistan?" He said, "Only when I landed in Chicago," right? So that's really true. 20,000 wrong prescriptions a year, 1 hour per month of drinking unsafe water, 16,000 pieces of lost mail per hour, 15 newborns dropped by the doctor each day. I got to back up on that one. But that's 99.9%. 99.9 is not appropriate in our organization. Maybe it is in some, but it's not in ours. So to me, it's all about quality and doing it right, or don't do it at all. The old saying, you can't fly with eagles if you're hanging out with turkeys, okay? You're known by the company you keep, okay? Hang with winners, not whiners. Winners hang together. Losers complain and tell story. Coach Chuck Noll of the Steelers had a great saying champions are champions, not because they do anything so special, but because they do the ordinary things better than anyone else. Day in, day out, repetition. And one of my favorites is very simply, God invented with humans with 2 ears and 1 mouth, since you should listen twice as much as you talk. Obviously, I'm a bad example of that today because I'm the one doing the talking, but I got the podium, right? I just think life is a listening game. And I've seen people that are brilliant people, but they couldn't listen to anything. There's a lot of examples, more examples than we'd probably like to see. And the old saying goes, remember when nothing goes right, go left, okay? Try something different. Dare to be different. When I left my first employer, mutual funds back in those days weren't even invented. Financial planning, financial advising, wealth management, that wasn't a concept or an industry. And our concept was to say, what if we can be more like a financial architect where we can go out and help people, and we'd be a one-stop shop and help them with everything. And that kind of turned into financial planning. Now, I'm not Al Gore. I didn't invent the internet, okay? I didn't invent financial planning, but I was blessed to be in a situation where I wanted to do something different, where I thought I could do more than just investments or insurance and put it together. And I was prepared for that opportunity, Coach Swinney. I didn't know what the opportunity was going to be, but I dared to be different, and we still do it. So, basically, whoops. In closing, kind of a favorite saying of mine is that there are 3 different types of people in life: those that make things happen, those that watch things happen, and those that simply say, what happened? And that's the majority, the people that say, what happened at 65 or 70? What happened that now my kids are through high school? I guess I missed a lot of that, okay? My daughter won 71 games in lacrosse in high school. I was there for 69 of them, and we lived 3 hours away from the school, okay? That's because I elected to be there, that was important to me. So, I think we'll throw it open for questions. I just say, when you look back in your life, what have you accomplished? Who have you touched? They say the number of people that will come to your funeral will be totally dependent on the weather. I'm glad I'm not being buried today, right? That's the truth, okay? It'd be a short one today, but I'd say get the video. It's a great video. So I would just share with you that, enjoy the ride. When you look back, you say, where did it go? And, what did I do? And don't waste time, because there might not be a tomorrow, okay? And live it to the fullest. So thank you for persevering through it. Some of these comments, maybe throw it open for questions. Marcia, did you arrange any planted questions here? Or? Coach.
You mentioned all these football coaches. Do you represent or work with any basketball coaches?
Sure, yeah. But only the ones that win. So you're good, Coach, give him my card, will you? Yeah, it's basketball a little bit different than football, it's round. But it's just the same. I have the utmost respect for teachers and coaches. My coach in that opening slide, that was my coach after we just finished our second consecutive undefeated season. Mickey Cochran, who's 87 years old, who to this day, I can't call him Mickey. A lot of guys call him Mickey because he says, call me Mickey. I can't call him Mickey, I call him Coach. And without Mickey Cochran and some of the coaches, the mentors that I've had in my life, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have been able to do what I was fortunate enough to do. Marcia, do you have? Yeah.
You work with so many coaches from so many fields, as well as administrators, college presidents, et cetera. Can you share a few thoughts as to how the Penn State and Michigan State situations that recently have occurred, how can colleges and universities prevent things like that from happening? Because obviously, those were institutions where a lot of people thought they were doing good things.
Right. Boy, if I had that answer, I'd be in the Bahamas and we'd be doing a webinar or something right now. Well, I guess first off, great question. And I guess I would take a little tangent on that. Penn State didn't do it. Michigan State institutionally didn't do it. People that worked for those institutions did it, okay? Number one, so it's a people issue. And, both of those situations are just so sad, okay? I mean, so sick. And, people did it, and people probably could have prevented it or stopped it sooner, but people didn't. Now at Culver, we have 850 kids from 35 countries, or 35 states and 25 countries boarding at our institution. And they have what's called an honor code. And they have a card when they come to Culver, and they memorize that honor code. And part of the honor code is, the old 1 Minute Manager. I remember that book, people read it. And the theme of the 1 Minute Manager is, it's important to catch somebody doing something right? Catch someone and say, Rob, great job Saturday, great job. But, you also at Culver, you have a duty, if your roommate's smoking marijuana, okay, then you have a duty to try to get him to stop doing that, okay? Technically, you have a duty to turn him in, okay? Technically or not technically, in my opinion, okay, someone in both situations or multiple people knew what was going on there and didn't report it. And, you know, if I asked President Fell, what keeps you up at night? She'd probably say, well, you know, where do you want to start? You know, but, you know, it wasn't reported. The situation of Penn State just cost Greg Schiano, the defense coordinator at Ohio State, the University of Tennessee football coaching job because of social media, made the innuendos that Greg Schiano had something to do with that. Doc, could you hand me that cup of water there? Thank you. Thank you. That Greg Schiano had something to do with that. Well, I know for a fact Greg Schiano had nothing to do with that, okay? That was 25 years ago, right, at Penn State. But somebody at Penn State knew what was going on. Whether they told Joe Paterno or not, I don't know. I wasn't there. But I think to me it's oversight to do, whether it's a university or a business or, you know, I have the oversight as the CEO of my company to make sure our working conditions are safe and appropriate, okay? And that's my responsibility. Fortunately, I haven't had to deal with anything like that. But it's oversight, and then to my mind, it's undersight. It's, you know, whether it's having a hotline or whether it's having an anonymous, but, you know, people just don't, some people swept it under the rug. Is it appropriate that Dr. Simon at Michigan State and Mark Hollis, the AD, one of the great ADs in the country, is it appropriate that they resigned? You know, I mean, they were there. And it was just, you know, but, you know, that's not what's so sad. What's sad is what happened to those young ladies. And they are saying parents even knew. That blows my mind, you know. So, but we have a fiduciary as institutions at Culver or Findlay or Bowling Green, and the trustees of those organizations have fiduciary or fiduciaries. When someone comes to Findlay, you're telling a parent that their kid's going to be safe here. You know, I'm sure that you wake up and go to bed with that, Dr. Fell, and it's a big responsibility. Can you imagine Ohio State? Huh? So it's hard, Marcia, and I just, it's changed so much, and it just is so sad, but I think it comes down to, you know, leadership, ethical leadership of doing what's right, okay? It's right or it's wrong. You're growing or you're dying. It's not half wrong. You can't be partially pregnant, I don't think, right? You're pregnant or you're not, okay? So I just think that it starts with education. It starts with, you know, parental education and doing what's right. Terrible situation. Yes?
There's some students in the audience, but can you give us a little background about your business? I mean, do you do it by yourself? Do you have a staff? What type of people do you look for?
Sure.
How do you interact with others?
Sure. Sure, happy to. You know, people always ask me, how many people work for you? I said about half of them. No, that's not. I can say that in Findlay when I live in Toledo, right? No tape recorders on. So we got a great team. We've got about 40 people. We started with a card table and 2 chairs with me and an assistant when I was 22, and that's morphed into a pretty great staff. Our staff is made up about 10 financial advisors, pretty sharp young people that the senior one's got about 13 years of experience and the junior one maybe 2 years. We don't hire very many. All of our advisors are very literate and not only dealing with business owners. We represent about 400 family businesses throughout the country, businesses from $100,000 to $6 billion 5 or 6 generations old. So a lot of that's tax, estate, succession planning. The advisors are also literate on the sports side also, and the sports kind of seems to be perceived as the kind of the sexy side. Because we were successful in our Wilcox Financial, dealing with entrepreneurs, business owners, and corporate executives for 20 years, approximately before we started the sports side, our success in the Wilcox Financial area has allowed us to really first of all, get into intercollegiate athletics and really dominate that space. We dominate that space in terms of what we do. We're a little misunderstood at times because we're not agents, okay? But, and nothing wrong with an agent, but why coaches and administrators, ADs, presidents, broadcasters, and conference commissioners like us, because we're a one-stop shop. That really is our signature. One-stop shop really revolves around compensation, because there's, I asked Don Nealon, our former coach at Bowling Green, I asked him 3 years ago, I said, Coach, on your biggest year, which was his 22nd year at West Virginia, I said, how much were you making? And he said, $290,000. And I said, per month? He said, no, you smart ass. And those coaches, I was with Vince Dooley last week, speaking to a bunch of coaches, and Coach Dooley, the eminent coach in AD, and they freak out. So a lot of these coaches, all coaches need planning, and so we kind of wrap every aspect of finance into a one-stop shop for them. And because unlike hopefully a college president or a director of development, sometimes coaches think they're going to have a long runway, and that runway ends abruptly, okay? Because I will say, 5 things can happen, coach. You're going to live, you're going to die, you're going to quit, you're going to get disabled or get fired, hopefully not all in the same year. That'd be a bad year, And so we try to, when people say, what do you really do for these coaches? We help coaches keep together what they've put together for them and their families, and try to put away money for rainy days, because, coaching is starting to get to be a young man's sport. I look at Brian Kelly now at Notre Dame, going to year 9 now. Year 9, and part of the things that I hear from coaches all the time, especially ones that are in their late 50s, they're not in love with recruiting anymore. Okay. Now, they're not driving, they're flying on private jets too, so I don't feel too sorry for them, But, so when you see a new coach hired and the ticker comes across ESPN and it says that Jim Harbaugh's been hired at Michigan with X million a year, plus a $2 million deferred comp plan, that's us. We dominate that space, and it's all been built on relationships and trust. Some of the agents don't like us because we do things that agents do, but we're not out to win popularity contests. We're out to help the coach or the business owner. The other thing about Marcia and I were talking about before was sports management. The title of sports management is such a horizontal title in terms of the field of sports management. And you could be an associate athletic director. You could work for IMG or Learfield Sports. It's changing. And the two big giants in the sports business, IMG and Learfield, are just going through, it's under regulatory approval, to merge those things. That's going to change the whole face of college sports and what they do with all institutions, So that's a big change. So, I speak to our sports management kids at Bowling Green, and again, it's do you want to be on a track to be an athletic director? Do you want to be a compliance director? Do you want to be an agent? But there's just very few firms nationally that really are in this niche the way we do it. And it's tough to replicate. I'm not saying we couldn't get knocked off. We could, but it's tough to replicate because it takes so long to establish it, and it's expensive to have, with 10 revenue producers and 30 staff. So our ratio is 3 staff members to each account executive. So it's a lot of service because you're only as good. You can talk the talk and tell people. I tell people, listen, don't take my word for it that we're really good. Let us show you. Give us a chance. Give us a try. We do a lot for the ESPN people and sportscasters, and I was talking to Holly Rowe yesterday. Some of you've seen her on TV. Great gal, single mom, cancer survivor, and she's got no time in her life. So those are the people that says I have no time. I said it's great because that's job security for us, and we can help them. I can't give them more time, but we can get them organized and make sure they're doing the right things. That makes sense? That answers the question? What we're looking for in kids coming out, we don't hire a lot of them, but we're looking for kids that are bright and kids that are quick, kids that are willing to learn, and and we can put them on a path. I start at the bottom and work up. Just to, someone said I want to start at the top and work down. I said no, that's my job. Other questions? Is that a question, or are you itching your?
I wanted to ask you, the win-lose philosophy does break down at some point when it interferes with value and ethics, and I would like your thoughts for students and the rest of us about what do you watch for to not get involved in the wrong win-lose philosophy? Because leadership talks a lot about win-wins.
Yeah.
You got to know the difference and how you balance that.
Well, that's a great question, and it's like that old saying: "What are you doing, or how are you conducting yourself when no one's watching?" You're on the other side of the fairway, no one's watching. Do you move the golf ball? I'm not talking about anybody in this audience, Frank, but he moves the golf ball in the air pretty darn good too. He only plays golf on days that end in Y. But that's a great question, and it's really that's something we're teaching 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders that come in ninth grade at Culver. Unbelievable institution, and they come out as leaders, and they come out, I think, as leaders and ethical leaders, because when they got knocked down, they got back up. They got some help to get knocked down. We allow them to get knocked down. Okay, a lot of parents don't quite get it, but if we're not telling a parent when you drop your kid off, you're never going to get knocked down. That's not what we're telling. We're telling 4 years later, this will be a changed kid. This will be a kid going to a great school and lessons of life, and he'll also have part of the Culver connection, which is a connection for life, connected to people all over the world. That 25,000 alums that really share. I didn't go to Culver. I'm not sure I could get through. Could have gotten through. Both of my kids did it, so I got a lot of respect. But I think that peer learning, that through athletics, that living in a dorm, together, and understanding it's not just about you all the time. It's about others, and it's not just about. We went undefeated the last 2 years, okay, and went to 3 Sweet 16s, NCAA championships. Those were all great memories. But I can remember more the heartbreaking losses that I had. I can tell you about those. I forgot about, give me the ball with 30 seconds left. I'm going to win it or lose it. We won it a lot. But, boy, I can tell you, I can recite getting beat by Denison in overtime in 1972 and crawling off of that field. It didn't happen again. So I think ethics, sports ethics are really big. I think in light of Marcia's questions, I think you got to teach your kids to be diligent. And some kids could come here not having great parental support. We bring a lot of those kids to Culver. We get them out of the ghettos. We give them an opportunity because for a little high school, we gave away $14 million in financial aid last year. That's because we've got a $1 billion endowment. That's because of trustees for 125 years have made this important to them to raise the money for the endowment, to raise the money for the faculty and staff to get the best and the brightest, and to create an environment to win. You know, when Urban came to Bowling Green, his game plan, his binder is the same. You've probably seen it, Coach. It's the same today as it was then. It's called A Plan to Win. Boy, that's creative. A plan to win, you know. I guess he's done what he said he's going to do, you know. Hadn't lost much. One more, or is that it, Marcia? You name it. One more, anyone? Well, thanks for being a kind audience. Like I said, I wouldn't get up to go see May on a day like this, but you did, and it's been fun. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mike, for making the trek down here on treacherous roads and for sharing some really good insights and wisdom, and much success to you and your team. You have to take great pride in seeing what you've built through the years. That's great, and I think we all, no matter what our walks of life are, picked up some very good knowledge from that. A reminder, March 23rd, we hope to see you all here. Cindy Leahy can get you registered on the way out if you want, or online, or give her a call, and we'll have additional information coming out. But please do register, and we hope to see you then. And we'll hope to see you. Charlie, when's the next home game? Tuesday's the next home game. So hope to see you over in Croy on Tuesday. So go out and make it a wonderful day. Thank you so much.